January 14th, 2021. From El Cajon and San Diego, California, this is episode 224 of You Can Bet on That. Hi, everybody. Welcome to You Can Bet on That, a podcast for the recreational gambler. My name is Mark Duvall, and sitting safely at his house is Dr. Mike.
Hello.
So, finally, we're back after about a month off. Hope everybody had a good holiday.
Yeah. I hope everyone had a safe holiday.
Yeah. Well, over this break that we took from the podcast, my wife and I went to Las Vegas, sort of a clandestine trip. So I guess I better talk about that. We left on Christmas morning, early on Christmas morning, drove to Las Vegas to stay at Caesar's Palace. Figured, well, that'd probably be a good time to go. Not too many people on the road, that kind of thing. And sure enough, an easy drive over there. When we checked in, I tried to make reservations at that Italian restaurant at Caesar's, Rouse.
Oh,
you've eaten there, right?
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah. And, because of the capacity and, COVID and everything, you basically have to make reservations. And the only reservation we could get was kind of for later in the evening. And we were hungry right away. So we just ate at that Cafe Americano there. If Caesar's has a coffee shop, I guess that's what you'd call it, right? It's just,
right.
Basically all sorts of fare on the menu. And we had no trouble getting a seat right away. So just straight off, we didn't eat anywhere particularly nice this trip because we just didn't want to have to make reservations and then kind of be a slave to the timing of that. So, but anyway, Christmas Day, played a little bit that night. And then the next day, we decided to go downtown to check out Circa, of course. So we did that fairly early in the morning. Now, it turns out this was the day after Christmas now. And it turns out that was actually the first day that Circa was allowing people to check into the hotel, like kind of an early check-in. I want to say December 28th was the official opening of the hotel, but they were letting some people check in that day. But we were there early in the morning, so there weren't that many people. All the employees were talking about, oh yeah, tonight, here it comes. We're going to be pretty crowded. But let's talk a little bit about Circa. I think you're going to like this place, Mike. I really do, once you get over there.
Yeah.
So in order to get in, they scan your ID, supposedly for contact tracing. I don't know, but we had to get our IDs out, and they scanned our ID before we went in. As soon as we walked in, the first thing Sherry said was, it doesn't smell like smoke. Now, some of that could have been, it's a new property. But they've got this air filtration system that blows air from the floor up to the ceiling. A lot of places it kind of, all the air ducts and everything are up in the ceiling. But here at Circa, they've got vents all over the place on the floor. And they're not ugly or intrusive or anything. You might not even notice if you weren't called attention to it. Just everywhere that's constantly blowing air up. And so that helps eliminate a lot of the smoke smell. That was the first thing she commented on when we, walked in. We came over from Garage Mahal, which is their parking structure, came over a bridge over there. And sure enough, when you come in, you definitely see the sports book. Again, the casino is a 2-level casino. And the sports book covers both levels. The screens cover up, and one wall of the screen is both levels of the casino. Huge screens, great areas to sit on both floors, a whole row of video poker that you can just sit at and, watch the screens. The upstairs main casino table games and things like that were not open when we got there. Only the downstairs table games were open. And it's great because, I played a little craps when I was there. It's great because from the craps table, you can't really completely see the sportsbook screens. You can see some of them, but there are screens everywhere, including right behind the craps table. So, if there's a game you want to watch, chances are you're going to be able to watch it.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah. Yeah, very open. I think that's what you're going to like about it, Mike, compared to all the other downtown casinos. It's very open. You can see, long distances away and up. And it's just, I think it was very, very comfortable. The crew at the craps table was great. When we were there were a few tables open, $15 minimums, 3, 4, 5 times odds, which we had talked about before. It's a little disappointing that it's not as good as Golden Gate or the D, which have 10 times odds. But very good crew, played there for a little while and won a little money. We went over to Stadium Swim, which is their pool area with the big screen out there. And I'll tell you, Mike, that place is really something. I think I showed you a picture. I took a picture there. I think I showed it to you. Yeah. And, Sherry, who's not a sports fan, really, she was really impressed with this Stadium Swim. We took a look at some of the cabanas that are there. It'd just be a great place to just sit, watch a game or swim or whatever. So many different pools. There is even some gaming there. I hadn't heard anybody talk about this before. But off to the corner in Stadium Swim, there were 3 or 4 blackjack tables that were open, even when we were there kind of in the morning. They're covered. It's out in the open. It's open air, but there's a ceiling over them. So if it's raining or something, you could still play out there, I guess. We didn't play any. We basically just looked around, but that is really something, that Stadium Swim. And then while we were there, we decided to have lunch. We went to Saginaw's Deli, which some of the listeners have talked about. I got a tuna sandwich on sourdough. Sherry got a grilled cheese on sourdough. Mine was very good. Sherry complained, though, that, it was a grilled cheese sandwich. It's supposed to be a grilled cheese sandwich. And the sourdough bread was so thick that none of the cheese melted. So, it was grilled on the top and the bottom of the bread, but the cheese in the middle was just room temperature.
Yeah.
So that was a bit disappointing, and it is expensive. That's one thing that everybody's talked about, is the food is expensive, certainly for a downtown property. But overall, a very positive experience with Circa. It will be fun to go back when things are hopping, like during a big sporting event, something like that. Because when we were there, it was fairly dead, to be honest with you. And again, this was like 10 or 11 in the morning. After that, we decided to walk down Fremont Street. Certainly, Sherry hadn't been there in a long time. We walked the whole distance of Fremont Street, and then we walked over to Fremont East, where, a lot of the bars are, things like that. We walked down to the Container Park, which I had never seen before. That was nice. We just kind of walked around a little bit.
Yeah, what's that?
Well, so the Container Park, it's kind of like a little, I don't want to say a mall, but I guess that's the best way to put it, where all the stores are in cargo containers. It's a bunch of cargo containers that are like stacked or put right next to each other. And it's sort of kind of a little gimmicky way to have things. There are places to eat and stores and just things like that. Kind of nice little area. Yeah. And then on the way back, we walked through the El Cortez. Mike, I haven't been in the El Cortez. It's been at least 20 years. So I wanted to go back in there because I hear so many people talking about how, it's kind of old Vegas and smoky and things like that. Yeah. I was pleasantly surprised that Sherry really liked it because it's very intimate, low ceilings, kind of cozy. They did put in a new carpet recently, which probably helped too. That can make a big difference depending on what you see on the floor there. But yeah, she kind of liked it. We didn't play there at all, but she just liked the coziness of it. And then we walked back to Circa. In order to get onto Fremont Street, the whole Fremont Street experience, you do have to walk through security. And really all they're doing is making sure you have a mask on. You're not going through a metal detector or anything like that. They just... Either you have a mask on or they remind you, hey, pull up your mask or, put up a mask. But there, it is a little small little section, which is kind of ironic because you kind of have to scoot close to people to get through this small security area. So you're not really social distancing when you go in, but they're checking for masks. But that was it for downtown. After that, we went over to Bellagio. We wanted to take a look at the conservatory there. They make that up real nice especially for holidays, Christmas, that kind of thing. Right. We got over there. The line was crazy long. It was just ridiculous. And, people don't just quickly walk through the conservatory. They mosey on. They're looking at everything, right, and taking pictures and going slowly.
Taking a lot of pictures.
Yeah, so we knew it would be a long line. So we said, forget it. We just kind of looked behind the partitions to kind of look at it. And that was basically it. And the gambling went pretty well. I was telling you, I came home with, I think I said $266 less in my wallet than I went with. And that includes tips. I tipped a lot, especially at the tables. The dealers are working on Christmas and over the Christmas weekend, that kind of thing. So I tipped quite a lot, and I did have to pay for things down at Circa, because I didn't have really any kind of credits down there that I could use. But not too bad for a trip to Vegas, 266 down.
No, not bad at all.
Yeah. A couple things. That day after Christmas, oh my gosh, there were so many people checking in. It was clear that people had done the Christmas holiday at home and then went to Vegas. It was, I'm just thinking just of Caesar's Palace. It was a madhouse. That whole big lobby that they have there. It was just absolutely packed. So, the next 2 days, there actually were quite a few people there. But at the same time, we drove home on that Sunday, and, a Sunday drive home to Southern California can be a bit of a mess. But because it was that Christmas weekend, we had no problem. We just flew home. So that was nice. One thing on the drive home, and you and I were talking about this recently, Primm, Nevada, that's basically state line, where you go from Nevada to California. There's a couple of casinos there. And right on the California side, there's a store called the Lotto Store where they sell California lottery tickets. And as we were driving by, we look over and there's this huge line to get into the Lotto Store. And I had no idea that so many people from Nevada drive to Primm just to get California lotto tickets, because Nevada doesn't have a lottery. What do you think of that, Mike? Now, I realize that, you can't necessarily go into a casino and spend $2 to win 500 million or whatever it is. But I mean, the line was so long. And I recently tweeted something online too from Rob M, a picture recently of the Lotto Store, because the Mega Millions has been going up, right? I think it's still going up, right? Yeah.
Yeah, nobody's won yet.
And so just these huge lines to get it. What do you think of that?
Well, if you lived close enough, I mean, if you were somewhere in the Las Vegas city limits, somewhere in that area, you could drive 40 minutes. I guess I'd do that. I don't know if I'd go if I lived further away.
But I mean, it's the lottery.
Yeah.
I guess I'm kind of answering my own question. It's because you can't, make a bet in a casino where you're going to get paid $500 million. But even so, the odds are so long. But people want to do it, so good for them. I read something where you have to be in line, actually in the line by 3:00 in order, like the day of the drawing, in order to buy the tickets. If you get in line after that, they just basically say, no, sorry, you're here too late. We can't sell you tickets. And then I don't know how long it takes to go, but it's even worse now, with the social distancing and everything, the line just goes on forever.
Right. Yeah, I don't know if I'd waste my time for that, but.
Well, I know I wouldn't. If I lived in Nevada, I think I'd probably get my, gambling itch scratched at just the local casinos.
Well, I imagine a lot of those people in line are buying tickets too for other people, like, their neighbors or something. Hey, I'm going to make a run down there. Do you want some tickets?
Yeah, that's a good point.
So that probably takes a while because they're probably buying, they're not just buying give me, $10 worth. They're probably buying $200 worth for all their friends.
That's a really good point. Yeah. That would explain why the long line and okay, good. You came up with a good reason, Mike.
Well, that's probably what's going on.
Yeah,
I would imagine.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Or people, when it gets big like this, a lot of people get together with, their coworkers or friends and they, get $500 together and then buy a bunch of tickets.
Yeah.
That would take a while too.
Yep, you're right. Well, that sort of explains it. But anyway, if you're ever driving, those of us who live in Southern California, take a look at that Lotto Store when you're either driving to or from Vegas. You can get a kick out of that big, long line. The only other thing I wanted to say about the trip, and maybe something will come to mind later in the episode, but the way that I tipped this trip was I would make a $1 pass line bet for the dealers, and then I would take full odds for them. It was usually 3, 4, 5 times odds, so $3, $4, or $5 behind. One thing I really liked, and this was not always the case, but in a lot of cases, if it was a natural win, in other words, a 7 or 11 on the come-out roll, they would pay the bet, but they'd only take the winnings. They'd leave the bet that I made for them out there. And I really like that because in most cases, when you make a bet for the dealers and it wins, they take the winnings and the original bet. And certainly they would do that whenever a point was made. if I had a point of 4 and I had $1 there and 3 in the back, they'd pay the whole thing and then take all the money, right? But just on a natural, some of the dealers, not all of them, but some of them would only take the winnings. And I really like that.
Yeah, that's nice. It's good for the dealers and the player, actually. You put out less money and they ensure they got another bet.
Yeah, right. They insure it because there's no guarantee I'm going to make another one for them. That's true.
Right.
Yeah, you're right.
Just made that one and not 10, and they guarantee they got another bet. So.
Yeah, you're right. So anyway, that was sort of my secret trip to Las Vegas. Again, we were only there for 2 nights, so a relatively quick trip. And I played quite a bit. Sherry kind of walked around and looked at the shops and that kind of thing. And, we ate, but it was quite a bit of playing. So kind of some hardcore playing and then, the
Good.
drive home. So.
And a winning trip, basically. So that's always.
I would say, like a winning trip. Well, a couple of weeks ago, we went to Harrah's, Southern California. It was a Saturday in the afternoon. In fact, I got to hand it to you, Mike. We went in the afternoon. It was right after you had flown back from Minnesota, right? I mean, you'd been in a plane all morning. You must have been exhausted, but you still managed to go with me up to Harrah's, Southern California.
Yeah,
so
I couldn't stay long, but I got... Well, I guess I stayed till about, 11 o'clock or something, right?
Yeah, I think it was maybe a little earlier than that, maybe around 10:30, something like that. Yeah, but you were a trooper. I stayed a little bit longer. We actually ran into listeners Mark and Whitney while we were there, played with them a little bit. It was nice meeting them. And eventually, you were pretty tired, pretty wiped out. So
I was run out of energy. I had so little energy, I could barely even concentrate. I thought I better go before I can't drive home.
Yeah. Well, after you left, I stayed a little bit longer. We've been driving separately recently, to kind of try to avoid being in close contact with each other for any amount of time. And I switched over to the don't when I wasn't rolling. And I'll have to say, Mike, that's what got me back for the night. And I'm sure you noticed the following week when we went, I was betting the don't quite a bit too. What do you think of me betting the don't there, Mike, when we're on the same table together?
Well, if it works out for you, so.
It worked out okay this last time.
Yeah, what can I say?
Yeah.
If I was smarter, I'd be playing the don't too. I probably would have won for the night.
Yeah.
I just don't get much fun out of that.
No, I know, and it's true. I only did it when people on the other side of the table were rolling. I didn't do it, obviously, when you and I were rolling. And even if the third person on our side of the table is rolling, it's like, I'm right next to the person. I don't really want to be betting against him. And I'll tell you what, it's not that it necessarily is helping me win for the night, but I'm putting out a lot less money when I'm betting the don't ultimately. Because if I get like 3 numbers up on the don't and one of them loses, I don't try to replace it. Yeah, I don't make another bet. So there are a lot of times where if I am betting the don't, and unfortunately for me, it's a long roll, I'm not putting a lot of money out there. I've got maybe 1 or 2 bets that I'm just waiting, hopefully will win for me. So anyway, you hear that, Tim Lawson started out 2021 by betting the don't. So
Tim will be proud of you.
Hey, our good friend Melanie got some good news here recently. So we talked about how the voters in Colorado approved a measure that would allow the local cities to change the limits on the casino games. Right now, the maximum is $100 for any single bet. And sure enough, the casino cities have approved no more limits on the bets at the casinos. And they've also added some new games like Keno and Pai Gow Poker and Baccarat. So the Colorado casinos now are going to be basically full blown. This won't take effect till May, but basically, no more cap on the bets.
That's nice. So the casino will just determine the max bet like they do. And,
right.
Whatever they feel comfortable
with. They feel comfortable with. Right. Exactly. So now I guess you'll want to go to Colorado.
Yeah. Well, we're forced to now. What choice do we have?
Yeah. We have no choice.
We have no choice in that.
And I think they're still all non-smoking too.
That's really nice.
Yeah. So anyway, congratulations, Melanie.
Merry Christmas.
Hey, remember back around Halloween, San Manuel, a casino here in California, made a terrible mistake when they promised people a certain amount in free play, and everybody got 100 times that amount. So if you were promised $500 in free play, you went to a slot, it showed up as $50,000. And that went on for, I don't know, half hour, 45 minutes before the casino caught on and put a stop to it. Well, some customers got follow-up emails saying, hey, we made a mistake, but for all the money above what you should have gotten in free play that you actually played through the machine, we will be deducting that from your future free play. So let's say, you were guaranteed $500, 50,000 showed up on the machine. You actually played through 2,000 of it. Well, they're saying, okay, that's $1,500 more than you should have gotten. We're going to be deducting $1,500 from your future free play. Now, not every customer got that email. And as it turns out, we're hearing that no customer has seen a reduction in their free play since then. So we're guessing that San Manuel kind of backed up on that threat, or whatever you want to call it. So that's good news. I'm glad they kind of, they made a mistake. They just ate it.
Yeah. I'm sure that went out in haste. And after they thought about it, thought, well, why are we going to scare away all of our highest betting players?
Right.
Why are we going to make them mad?
Yeah.
That's the last person you want to lose. So they probably rethought that and thought, okay, it's a loss, and we'll just move on.
Yeah, good. That's what we were hoping they would do. And it sounds like that's what they have done, at least for now. Nobody is seeing a reduction in their free play. So good news. Hey, thanks to everyone who's been clicking through our Amazon link. Remember, whenever you're going to buy something through Amazon, please go to our page first, youcanbetonthat.com, and click through our Amazon link towards the top of the page. All right, let's move on to some voicemails. First up is Cody.
Hey guys, it's Cody from Alabama, and I had a question today that goes away from our usual gambling talk and goes more into a financial talk here with some questions about the stock market. So my question is, if you look at current prices on per stock on the stock market, casino companies are doing extremely well right now. If you look at Caesars, which went through the purchase from El Dorado earlier in the year, Penn Gaming, Boyd Gaming, MGM, all of these casino stocks have grown considerably during the year 2020, after the initial plummet of the stock market back in March. I believe Caesars, for instance, trades somewhere around $80 per share when it bottomed out at around $7 or $8 a share when the pandemic first started. So my question to you guys is, maybe you have some answers, is why do you think that the values of these stocks have grown to a level that they've never been before, really, when casinos themselves are not back to full operations? The hotels aren't full, the casinos aren't full, there's still a lot of restrictions on them. Is it just overall market confidence that these industries are going to rebound, or have casinos cut costs enough in their operations to where, they're actually making pretty good profit during this time period? Anyway, guys, enjoy the show. I think this is probably the last time before Christmas, so have a Merry Christmas. Happy New Year.
Yeah, I hope you had one too, Cody. I decline to show my ignorance by claiming to know anything about the stock market. I really don't follow it, and I don't know anything about it.
Well, you wouldn't have to know anything about it to answer this question.
Okay.
Because the answer is there's no reason for it.
I think
all the stock market is at its highest peak ever on the three major indices, and there's no reason for that. I mean, you're in the middle of a pandemic. There's all this turmoil with elections and the government and stuff, and the stock market still goes up. In other instances, somebody flushes the toilet wrong in Iraq and the stock market goes down. Who knows what motivates this? It's unreal.
Yeah, I can only guess that investors, they're anticipating future earnings, how companies will do in the future.
Right.
And that's why they buy stocks. And I guess they think casinos are going to do well. I don't know. Maybe it's because of legalized sports betting coming into some markets. I don't know. I'm not even.
Who knows?
Yeah.
I mean, nobody can answer that question because there's no rhyme or reason for it other than, like you said, people speculate that after the vaccine's out and the world returns to normal, everyone's going to want to be doing all these things that they missed out on, like maybe going to casino or going on a cruise ship. I'm sure their stock will go up, stuff like that. It's all conjecture. And you want to talk about voodoo. That's the stock market.
Yeah. I was laughing there because I can see a lot of people who have not gone to casinos. Maybe the casinos are open by them, but they still don't want to go, because,
right.
and that's certainly a reasonable choice. I don't know about cruise ships. I don't know.
Oh, I don't know
if they're going to bounce back the way they were before.
I read an article. They're already selling packages for like spring and stuff, and they're booking up. They're filling up like crazy. Yeah.
All right.
Oh, I would almost guarantee that if there was a cruise ship right now taking off, it'd be half full with people.
All right.
Honestly, there'd be people who'd be like, whatever. It'll be safe.
All right.
I'll go.
Clearly, I don't know what I'm talking about here. So,
it's just like us with a casino, right? And there's people like that with cruise ships. They just love to go on these cruises.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah. People are, I shouldn't say hard to figure out, because in some ways they're hard to figure out. In other ways, they're so easy. They do what they want to do.
Yeah, exactly. Mike, you and I are hard to figure out. Okay. Isn't that fair?
Yeah,
okay.
That's fair.
All right. Very good. All right. Next call.
Hi, Mark. Dr. Mike. This is John from Michigan. Came across what might be the most player-friendly craps game in the country, actually. I was at Leelanau Sands, which is a casino north of Traverse City, Michigan. This was on a Friday night. It was pretty dead in there. Obviously, this time of year is pretty dead, probably most of these casinos, but they had only half of the craps table open, 3 to a side, and just 2 dealers. But what was interesting, number one, $3 minimums and 10 times odds. That's obviously very player-friendly. But that wasn't the most player-friendly aspect of this particular table. They had the option to buy the 4 and the 10 for no commission. Obviously, normally that's a 5% commission to buy those numbers or buy any number across the top. So essentially, there was no house edge on buying the 4 and 10. And combine that with the $3 minimums and 10 times odds, it was a fun craps game. So I feel bad that they're not getting the traffic up there at Leelanau Sands that, you would hope, and I'm sure they hope it, considering where we're at. But it was definitely one worth checking out if you get into that part of Michigan.
Okay. Well, good to hear. Yeah. Leelanau Sands.
Yeah. I wonder if they had a minimum buy bet on the 4 and 10.
Yeah, that's a good question. I'm trying to remember when they had the free buy bet at Downtown Grand, if you could just do it for $5. I think you could. I don't think there was.
I don't know. See, I thought it was $20 and above. It was free.
It could be, but yeah, I don't remember.
Because it doesn't make sense to buy it anyway. If you're going to bet $10 on the 4, it's better to just place it than buy it, right?
If you have to pay the VIG. But he's talking about a completely free buy bet, right? If it's completely free, you can do it. You should be able to do it for $5, right? But yeah, I can't remember. Yeah. Speaking of the free buy bet, so we said Downtown Grand used to have it, and then they got rid of it. They must have looked at their bottom line or something. But I'm kind of surprised because, Mike, when we went to Downtown Grand during that period, I would always buy the 4 and 10. I think some other players would too. But it's not like everybody on the table was doing it.
No.
Right? I mean, it was only a few people. And it seems to me it'd be a really good draw and worth it for them. Now, again, I don't know. I don't see their bottom line here. But
well, yeah, some of those people on the table probably don't even know what a buy bet is.
Well, that's true.
And you get a lot of people in Vegas come up to a craps table and their experience is pretty limited.
Yeah.
I mean, we hear it all the time. They always, they get a 10 and you say buy it. They have no clue what that means. So they probably advertise that a little, but not a lot,
Yeah. I'm not saying that, casinos really, they all should have free buy bets on the 4 and 10. But it's kind of a nice little bonus, and not everybody takes advantage of it. There's still people making horn bets and, hard way bets, right?
Sure,
with the high house edge. So anyway, yeah, Leelanau Sands. Just one note here, the table games are not always open. They're only open on the weekends. Well, starting on Thursday. Thursday from 2 p.m. to 10 p.m., and then Friday and Saturday from 2 p.m. to 2 a.m., and Sunday from 2 p.m. to 10 p.m. So there are only certain hours for the table games there. All right, next up is Michael.
Hey, Mark and Dr. Mike. This is Michael from Indianapolis. Calling in to tell you a story. Jogged my memory. Listening to the last episode, Dr. Mike was telling a story about his wife trying to teach her Ultimate Texas Hold'em and just said, sit down, play a hand, see what happens. And she hit big on the first try and walked away. That same thing happened to my mother-in-law when we were in Vegas last year. She didn't want to spend very much money and wanted to buy in for the same amount, about $20. So looking for a game that I could show her that was, $5, and of course having a fairly difficult time. But we were walking around Paris, Las Vegas, and found a $5 high card flush table that no one was at. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that game or not. I haven't heard you talk about it a ton on the show, but the basic premise is that it's trying to get a bigger flush than the dealer. So really the suits are what matter. The bigger the flush, the better off you are. There's a couple bonus bets. There's a flush bonus where I think it begins paying out at a 4-card flush or higher, and then a straight flush bonus that pays a 3-card straight flush or higher. You're dealt 7 cards total. So really the basic game is just get a bigger flush than the dealer with 7 cards, and then it pays 1-to-1 in the play if that happens. So she bought in for $20 and put her $5 down, and I thought to myself, if it were me, of course I would play the 2 bonus bets, but being that she was just trying to learn the game, I thought, no, let's just forego that and had her play just a basic game and try to get as many of the same suit as you can. And first hand, 6 of her 7 cards are hearts. She would have won probably about $700 between the 2 bonus bets had I went ahead and had her play those. I felt terrible, but she was thrilled to win her $10. So it all worked out, I suppose. But funny how that beginner's luck always seems to kick in. But that story of Dr. Mike made me think of that. I wanted to share that with you. Hope you guys have a great Christmas. Happy holidays, and love the show. Bye-bye.
Okay, so I guess the lesson here is if you're brand new to a game, always make all the side bets, at least on that first bet. Is that what?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Well, beginner's luck. I mean, Mark, that's a well-founded theory. We all know that.
Yeah, you can back that up with math.
Yeah, that's just math. It's crazy how that happens, though.
You remember that it happens. You
right.
forget those times where beginners bad luck. Yeah, we talked about high card flush way back on episode 35. Basically, you're playing against the dealer, and whoever has more cards in a flush, whoever's made a flush with more cards beats the other one. So if you've got a 5-card flush and the dealer has a 4-card flush, then you would win. And if you have the same number of cards in a flush, then you actually look at the cards, like ace being high and deuce being low, just like you would in poker. But that's basically, you try to make a flush with more cards than the dealer.
Yeah, really the funnest part of that game is, yelling flush the toilet when you don't have anything.
Sure. Yeah, exactly.
You just yell out, flush the toilet.
Flush the toilet. Now that, let's tell people, because that is actually something you say at the pie gow table, okay?
Yeah.
It's when it looks like you have a flush, like all your cards are red. And you're looking, flush, and then somebody looks at your card and says, no, flush the toilet. So that's a real thing. It's real etiquette.
That's the funnest part of those games.
All right, next call.
Hey guys, this is Joseph from Grand Prairie, Texas, outside of Dallas. I just finished the last episode of the year. Calling, let you guys know I will be headed to the world's largest casino tonight. Hopefully it'll be a worthwhile trip. Windstar World Casino in Oklahoma, which is built and funded by Texans, but that's an argument for another day. Anyway, I just want to say you guys have a good holiday, and just want to thank you for the podcast and look forward to another year if you can bet on that. You guys take it easy. Bye.
Oh, well, thank you, Joseph, and same to you, and same to all our listeners. Hope you had a good holiday. All right, let's hear from Casey.
Hey, guys. Casey from SoCal. I was just listening to your latest episode, heard you talking about the great gift wrap-up and one of your friends that had gotten the offer for free play after the great gift wrap-up had ended last year. We just went out to Vegas to pick up our code for the great gift wrap-up, and they actually told us if we wanted to, we could convert our great gift wrap-up points to free play this year. I don't know if they've done that before, but everybody had the option to do it this year. You did have to be in Vegas to do it. When we went out there, I had booked a room. My buddy that came with me did not. So he did not have his great gift wrap-up code when we went to swipe at the kiosk. We walked over to the Players Club at Paris where we were staying. It took 2 minutes. They printed the code out for him. He never had to book a room in his name. It was super simple. And they did tell us if we wanted to combine our points, we had to go over to Caesars and talk to one of the reps at the ballroom there, but we didn't want to do that, but they did have that option. So anyhow, good luck, guys. So I'll probably see you out at Harris sometime soon.
Yeah, thanks, Casey. So correct me if I'm wrong, Mike, but at least for the last few years, that has been an option. When you've actually gone to the Great Gift Wrap-Up, you could convert it into free play. Is that correct?
I believe so. Yeah, I never did that, but I believe that was an option. And you could also just get gift cards if you wanted. And I think that was the same for this year. But that room booking thing, that kind of threw everyone for a loop.
In fact, the last time when you were talking about your last trip, you're saying, well, what if I come with my wife and it's not booked in her name? But that makes sense. Right. Yeah, if she just shows up at the Players Club, well, she's obviously right there. She's showing her ID. She's there in Vegas.
Right.
So, yeah, that's
right. You just couldn't do it from the kiosk.
Right. Yeah. Okay, well, good. That makes sense. So anyway, you can convert your Great Gift Wrap-Up points into free play if you're actually in Vegas. What happened to our friend David last year was he was actually offered that amount in free play after the Great Gift Wrap-Up that he did not attend. Now, whether they do that with any customers this year, who knows? But at least he had that offer, last year, and then wasn't able to do it because COVID hit.
Yeah, well, that offer was also from Reno, right?
It was a specific, it was a specific property. That's
casino.
True. Yeah. Okay, next up is Will.
Hey, Mark and Dr. Mike. This is Will from North Carolina. I haven't been to a casino in a really long time, so this is going to be kind of like a weird call because this is something I started doing at home. And like I said, it's kind of a weird, kind of a dumb idea, but I'm curious to hear what you guys think about it. What I started doing is practicing craps at home, but I alter it to where every bet has no house edge. So I'm going to go through the way I kind of do it with the bets. So, for example, all the bets in the middle of the table, I just make them pay their true odds. So, for example, normally the hard 6 and hard 8 pay 9 to 1. The way I set it is I make them pay 10 to 1. So they pay their actual true odds, which means there's no house edge on them. And it seems like you can do that with any bet in the middle of the table. For place bets, I just make them pay it like the odds bet. I say that, okay, placing the 6 and 8, instead of paying 7 to 6 the way they normally pay, I make them pay 6 to 5. The 5 and 9, I make them pay 3 to 2. And the 4 and the 10, I make them pay 2 to 1. Pretty much it's just like a buy bet with no commission. For the field bet, the way I do that, I just make the 2 and the 12 each pay 3 to 1. Everything else is the same. The tricky one is the pass line bet. I'm sure there's a lot of ways people could come up with to do this. Here's the way I came up with it. It's kind of weird, but it seems like it works if my math is right. So I make it to where the 7 is still a winner, but then I make it to where the 2, the 3, the 12, and the 11 are now losers. That way you have 6 ways to win and 6 ways to lose. And you may be thinking, well, what do you do if any of the other numbers is rolled? What if, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, or 10 is rolled? I just say that that's a push. That way you still have 6 ways to win and 6 ways to lose. And you may be thinking, well, that's kind of dumb because doesn't it mess up the whole game? But the thing is, you can still make it play just like the way you normally would and still say that the shooter still has to either hit their point or 7 out. But now it just doesn't matter in terms of the result of that bet. And you may be thinking, well, isn't that kind of dumb because it doesn't take away kind of the fun of the game? But here's the thing. If that bet's a push, you can just say, okay, at that point, you can just pick up your bet and you can make an odds bet with it, or you can make a place bet with it. And that way you're still rooting on the point. And for me, when I play real craps, that's the way it goes normally anyway. I'm usually rooting for it for my odds and not for the main pass line bet. So again, this may seem like kind of a dumb idea because obviously no casino would ever do this. But what I like about it is it really gives you a feel for the variance of the game. If you kind of do a practice session, you kind of see that even with no house edge, based on how you're betting, you can still go on some really big losing streaks and winning streaks. And so for me, it's just a really good way kind of mentally for me to really understand the high variance of my bets. And plus, something you could do with friends, I would say with play money, with fake money. You could do it if you wanted to. You wouldn't want to do it with somebody who's never played before. It could really confuse them. So hopefully this wouldn't confuse anybody about how this works. But it was just a kind of a fun idea I had. I just figured I'd tell you guys about it. All right, guys, I would appreciate it. Bye.
Yeah, are all the things that we do in quarantine to keep ourselves entertained.
Yeah, right.
You can actually set up the program WinCraps. It runs on Windows, WinCraps. You can set it up so that bets have no house edge. So if you really wanted to, kind of do this and run some simulations, you could actually see what happens. But kind of fun. The interesting thing, though, is even if there was no house edge on any bet, he's talking about variance. Variance can come in. Yeah, even with no house edge, you go on these big losing streaks. Eventually, and I'm talking about super long run here, eventually you're going to go on a losing streak that will deplete your bankroll. And so the house ultimately will win money even if there's no house edge on bets, because the house has deeper pockets. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah. It's definitely the deeper the pockets, the longer you're going to last.
Yeah.
And we've said this before, craps is a game of streaks.
Yeah.
With or without a house edge, it's a game of streaks. And if you have enough money to hang around long enough, eventually you hit that hot roll or series of hot rolls that wins you money. But if you don't have that kind of bankroll, then eventually, you hit a bad series and you're out of the game.
You're out, yeah.
And the house has the advantage of their bankroll so big that they can wade through all those bad rolls for them. And they, all the hot rolls for the player, bad rolls for the casino, they make it through all that and they live another day. And eventually they get your money. So.
Yep. Well said.
It's like the football team that always has, all the top players. Well, of course, they're going to win more games. They've loaded up.
And speaking of football, good job on your NFL picks this year. I know we have the playoffs and the Super Bowl still to go, but you did great this year.
I had a good year in the NFL.
Yeah.
Too bad the rest of our sports betting has been kind of mediocre.
Yeah, just blame me. But I'll take it.
No, it's not you. It's just mediocre.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many times I go at the end of the night and go through the sheet and we have over 134 and they score 133 points or something,
Yeah.
I mean, it's so many times we miss it by one basket, it's frustrating.
I know. Gambling.
Yep.
All right. Next up, Josh.
Hello, how you guys doing? First, I just want to say you guys are incredible. My name is Josh from Central California. So I got to play craps for the first time this weekend. I went to Lake Tahoe for Christmas. It was bittersweet. So I'll go over the bitter first. My favorite game is 3-card poker. Everywhere I played, they have a 6-card bonus. Of course, Mont Bleu did not. And what do you know, within 10 hands, I had 2 full houses, and I would have had a straight flush with the 6-card bonus. So that was bad. Have you guys ever seen anywhere that does not have a 6-card bonus? But either way, so the craps, I bought it for $200. I ended up walking out $2,800, so $2,600 up. It was so fun. I was excited. You guys are the ones that get me excited by listening to your podcast. And now I know what you mean by when they come and buy in while you're in the middle of a good roll. I had a really good roll going. I'm not exactly sure how many rolls it was, but I mean, it had to be like 20, 25 rolls in. 3 guys walk up and they buy in, and it was very slow. It literally took like 3 minutes for them to buy in. And of course I rolled a 7, so I hear you guys talk about it on the podcast. So I thought it was a little funny. I was annoyed. And it's funny. I had just listened to your podcast about a gentleman saying something to the dealer when they were letting someone buy in the middle. So instead of saying something to the dealer, I said something to 3 guys, and I said it's bad etiquette. But I just want to say I enjoy your guys' podcast. Again, Josh from Central California. My first experience with craps, $200 buy-in. Ended up leaving $2,600 up. Can't wait to play again. I hope you guys keep your podcast going. I appreciate you guys.
Wow, nice, good experience that first time. It might work against him in the long run. We know, you would when you win that first time. But
just put that $2,600 aside and play with that.
Yeah,
and just same thing. Buy in for $200, so you still have a $2,400 backup, and just play the same way. That's the best advice.
The same way. And if you lose that $200, don't buy in for another $200. Go walk around or something.
Take a break.
Yeah. So, buying in the middle of somebody's roll is bad etiquette, but we do want to emphasize that it does not make the next roll any more or less likely to be a 7. If you don't believe that, though, and you think that it is more likely the next roll will be a 7, the casino does give you the option of turning your bets off. So I don't want to hear any more complaining about how the 7 came up, because you have the option.
You have the option, but taking the option is the problem. Not having it, taking it is the problem, Mark.
Yeah. When 3-card poker first came out, I don't think they had this 6-card side bet. Where you combine your 3.
Yeah, I don't think so.
So maybe this is just an old table, because you see it pretty much everywhere now.
Yeah, it's probably an old table. Yeah. Yep. Probably an old layout. They just haven't
changed in years.
The layout. Yeah.
Could you actually read the printing on the layout? That might give you an indication of how long it's been there. All right. Next up is Bert.
Hey, Mark and Dr. Mike. This is Bert from Virginia again. The spouse and I took a 5-day trip to Vegas right before Christmas, so I'll give you a quick update on what we found. Knowing that things would be a little odd on the Strip, we stayed on the Strip because we had a comp room, but we visited a bunch of local casinos. We went out to Aliante, South Point, a bunch of casinos, but I'll give you some highlights. Aliante, which is a local casino, It's built in the middle of a subdivision, but it was actually really cool. Every person there was super nice. Really nice, clean casino, pretty nice size. Found a craps table. I think it was $10. Played a little bit there. Didn't win anything, but just had a really good experience there. Everybody we met there was super nice. Went over to South Point the next day. Decent sized casino, $5 crap table, but wasn't as nice. It was okay, but it didn't feel as nice as Aliante. We also visited Ellis Island off the Strip. Just a cool, fun place. Had a great plate of barbecue down there. Played some $5 craps. Just so much fun. I would recommend anybody visiting now during the COVID crisis to check out Ellis Island. It's little. It's just a lot of fun. Great food, and the people there were awesome to hang out with. We also went out to I think it's called Green River, and that one was pretty cool. That one was in the middle of a really nice subdivision. Decent casino, local, very nice, sort of high end, I think, but it was pretty nice. If you get a chance to visit out there, it's worth the trip. We spent the second half of our trip downtown. We stayed at the Grand, and downtown was awesome. We got to check out Circa, checked out, of course, the Grand, which is a teeny-weeny little casino. Went over to California, had a great time at some of the other local casinos there, but just an overall fun trip. Different. Normally we go there and we kind of hang out on the Strip and visit all the casinos. This time, knowing the Strip would be a little weird, we just decided to rent a car and visit all the local spots, and it was so much fun. Didn't win a nickel playing craps. Everywhere I went, lost my money, but I had a great time, and planning a trip back in the spring. If everything's at least as it is now, if it gets worse, we might reschedule, but if everything stays packed, I was fine with what was open. The biggest challenge we had is finding places to eat on our weekdays. We got there on a Wednesday. Thursday was tough finding places to eat, but by the weekend, everything was back up again. So just a great trip, and I appreciate the show, and you guys keep up the good work.
Okay, so Bert basically echoing what we've heard before, that in the middle of the week, it's a little harder to find food on the Strip. Sherry and I didn't have any trouble, but we were there on a weekend, so that's something to keep in mind. He mentioned Green River. I assume he's talking about Green Valley Ranch. That's probably where he went out to. And Mike, I ask you this all the time, and I can never remember. Have you ever been to Green Valley Ranch?
No, okay. I don't think so.
Yeah, neither one of us has been. That probably is a location we should go to. It's supposed to be very nice, kind of a locals place. I think Dr. Taylor goes there quite a bit, actually. So
yeah, we should.
Tara,
we should probably go there. I'm surprised he didn't go to Red Rock Casino.
And have we been there? I think we've been there.
I've been there a couple times.
You've been there for sure.
I think you were there. I think I was there with you.
Maybe one time, yeah. So
yeah, I know I've been there at least twice.
Yeah.
It's a ways out.
Right. That's the thing. You have to make a special
nice
trip.
Casino.
Yeah. All right. Next call.
Hello. How you guys doing? This is Josh from Sister California again. I was just listening to your podcast 208. This is our question. On the 3-card poker, the gentleman was saying about the players that play blind. I just wanted to throw some information out there because it is my favorite game. So even if you fold, as you were saying, side bet remorse, even if you fold, your 6-card bonus is still active. Your pair plus and your ante would be the one that you fold. A lot of people, what they do is they play blind because they're hoping that they either beat the dealer's hand or the dealer doesn't have a queen or better. Like, for instance, me, I play every single hand, doesn't matter what I have. And the reason why is what I'll do is I'll put 5 on the 6-card bonus, 10 on the pair plus bonus, and I'll bet 20 on my ante and then 20 on the play. And most of the time, the dealer will either not qualify or I'll beat them. So even if I lose my pair plus and my 6-card, if the dealer doesn't qualify, I at least get paid my ante, which is 20. So it's a $5 profit. And then on top of that, if the dealer does qualify and I win, even if I lose my side bets, I'll win $40. So it'll be a profit of $25. So I don't play blind because I have too much anxiety and I like to see my cards right away. And I want to know as soon as the dealer flips their cards, if I win or lose, I don't like to go slow. So I just wanted to clear that up, that even if you fold and you don't do the play, your 6-card bonus is still active with the dealer's cards and your cards. If you do fold, it's just going to be the ante and your pair plus bonus that you're giving them. Again, I love you guys. I appreciate your podcast. I just wanted to call in because I heard that right now. Thank you.
Yeah, so Josh is talking about an episode where we, one of our listeners asked us, hey, why do people play 3-card poker blind? What's the reason? There's a basic strategy to the game. Why don't they follow that? And I had incorrectly guessed that maybe people were staying in because they didn't want to miss out on the side bets, like the 6-card bonus. And Josh is correct. That's not a legitimate reason, because even if you fold your hand, you're still open for that 6-card bonus. And I thought I corrected myself on a subsequent episode. I can't remember. But anyway, yeah, I was wrong about that. But so Josh is saying that he doesn't play it blind. In other words, make the bet and never looks at his cards. But the result is the same, right? He's never going to fold. So that's kind of the situation we're talking about. He actually likes to look to know, when the dealer turns over their cards, whether he won or lost. But ultimately, playing blind or, even if you look, playing every hand is not the best thing to do from a house advantage point. The basic strategy for the game is actually pretty simple. If you have queen 6-4, in other words, your cards are queen 6-4 or better, then you stay in. Otherwise, you fold. So if you have a hand that's less than queen 6-4, you fold. You're going to lose a lot less money in the long run if you do that.
Well, I guess one good thing is if you're going to play every hand anyway, it doesn't really matter whether you look or don't look. But the fun of it is looking, seeing what you got. I'd be like Josh. I'd look and then just stay in anyway, no matter what.
And I could see people feeling the other way, that they want to just play every hand and just let the gambling gods make the decisions, right? And just, I want to be surprised when the dealer turns over my hand, right?
Yeah,
so
right.
Even though I would not play that way, because do I have to, play basic strategy? I can understand the appeal of that. If that's fun for you, then fine.
Yeah, that would actually be pretty fun, actually. Then you wouldn't know, the dealer wouldn't know.
Yeah.
They flip the cards over. If you've got a good hand, you just, scream at the dealer's face, Gotcha.
All right, last call.
Hey guys, this is Jason from Chattanooga. Want to give you a quick trick report. We were there December 27th through December 31st. Had a great time. Stayed at Bally's. I actually love the COVID restrictions as far as craps goes. It's nice only having 3 people per side. Played a lot of craps. We'll give you a rundown of good and the not so good. Start out with the not so good. Caesars. I don't know what it is about those dealers in that place, but they were just rude, flat out rude. I played all Caesars locations, and everywhere but Caesars, the all tall, all small is $1 bet. Well, there's 5. I didn't know this. I threw down $10 and told them 3-4-3 like I do at every other table. Literally picked my chips up and threw them back to me and said he had no clue what I was talking about. Yeah, that's how that went. Venetian, not good either. They were just grumpy. I don't know what was wrong with them. And then, unfortunately, Cromwell. I normally love that place, love the dealers, but they were just off. They were talking amongst themselves, weren't paying attention. Every time we were trying to raise, they would already have the money to us if the dice was out. It just didn't make any sense why they were going so fast. They were just off. Good, pretty much all of the other Caesars, Planet Hollywood, Paris, Bally's, Paris, all good. The great would be Link and Serpa. Link, especially, I don't tip a lot. So maybe a couple bucks here or there, but they were very appreciative. Thought they were great. And Circa. Wow. These dealers, I think are just happy to be there, or maybe just happy to be working. They were some of the best dealers I've ever had as far as being polite and just flat out having a good time. And they made it to where we had a good time. In fact, I want to talk to you about a roll we had. First of all, I was at the table. It was a $15 table. It was me and then 2 jack whites to the other end that smoking cigars, mask down. Every 5 minutes they would tell them to put their mask up. And I was about ready to leave the table. I was like, I just want to roll one more time. Well, jack white number 2 got the dice. And, he proceeded to roll for at least an hour. He was a slow roller, so it wasn't like he was just sort of really fast. So he rolled for an hour. Really wasn't a ton of rolls, but it was one hell of a roll. To give you some reference, my normal bet is, start at 18 on a 6, go 18, 24, 30, 42, 60, 90, just about 120 normally. That's about as high as I get because, then a 7 comes out. Well, I had my 6 up to 720 and my 8 up to 240. Didn't roll as many 8s as you rolled 6s. You rolled 6s like crazy. 10 hard 6s. I had all the hard ways there towards the end, probably 50 on each, and probably had $10 for the dealers on each, and he was hitting a lot. So my two questions are, one, would you look down at the table and you have basically what you brought for the whole day of gambling on the table? There's about $1,200 on the table between all my numbers and my hard ways. Do you ever just take it off and just go, all right, this has been a good enough roll, I'm done, cut it in half, or do you just keep rolling until it's over? Just one of those random questions. And also, probably gave them, because we were tipping on the hard ways pretty heavy, $400 to $500 tipping within this hour. And then when I cashed out, my biggest cash out ever, which Dr. Mike's going to think it's nothing, but something to me, was $6,400. And I gave them 200 and some change left. So all in all, I tipped them what I think is about $600. Is that enough for that type of run? I think it's pretty good, but I just honestly, I was kind of drunk and in shock. I just threw the $200 kind of left. I didn't know what was going on. So those are my two questions. Love the podcast. Keep up the good work. And thanks, guys. Oh, and you guys need to definitely get a Cherokee. Just one more person telling you, because you'll have a ton of people come see you guys.
Yeah, thanks, Jason. So, did you tip enough? Yeah, of course you tipped enough.
He tipped great, Jason. I think that was wonderful. That was way more than most people would tip.
Yeah, I think so too. And the thing is, when it comes to tipping, okay, Mike and I tip. We're going to encourage you to tip, but we'll never tell you that you should tip. If we've used the word should in the past, we shouldn't have. Because it really is up to you. We can tell you kind of what the standard is, etiquette, that kind of thing. Anyway, just to make that clear. But yeah, for sure, Jason, you tipped enough.
Yeah, I'm sure the dealers were very happy with you. So I wouldn't worry about that in the least. Yep. Now, as far as taking all your money down in the middle of a hot roll, for me, never.
Yeah, I don't.
For Mark?
God, the only times I can think, maybe if I had like a plane to catch. I seem to remember once, I don't think you were with me, Mike. I was at the Las Vegas Hilton back when it used to be called the Hilton. And I just had to leave. And I said, I'm sorry, take all my bets down, because I had to go. The only other time where maybe I've had something close to that happening is when it was a big roll. Maybe the dice went off the table and I said, call my bets off. And there was a 7. And so I got my bets. That might have been the closest thing. But no, I'll never say, oh, I've won enough for this roll and bring me down, even though it'd probably be the smart thing to do in a lot of cases.
Right. Yeah. After they 7 out and I realized I left $4,000 out on the table.
That's
and
right.
I always have regrets and I think, oh God, why didn't I just cut them back to half or start over again?
Right.
But no, I just don't do that because you're going for the big win.
That's right. It's kind of what you said earlier. You're just trying to survive until you get to that big roll. And when you're in the middle of a hot roll, which I realize doesn't make any sense, but when you're in the middle of it, you want to keep riding that wave.
Yeah, you want to stay on there as long as you can. And, my wife will always say, oh my God, I can't believe we left that much money on the table. And I would say, well, we left that much money on the table because it was a good roll and we made, hopefully you've been collecting this whole time and not just pressing, right? So,
But yeah, Jason got his 6 up to $720, starting at $18.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
That is pretty good.
That is pretty damn good. And I agree with him about the dealers, especially at Caesars and Cromwell.
Yeah.
I've had some terrible experiences. Now, I've had some good experiences at both places, but some of the Caesars dealers have been there a long time.
Long time.
As long as I've been gambling, some of them, they're still there dealing.
Yep.
And I think, this is just my opinion, but I think they're so used to getting like big players who bet tons of money that even if you put $300 on a 6, to them it's like, why are you betting? It's not even worth it.
Yeah.
They're
jaded.
They treat you like that.
Yep.
They're jaded.
Yep.
Yeah, they're jaded. They're very jaded. And they treat you like, well, you're some peon in there. And, what these guys fail to understand is that a person's bankroll is their bankroll. It's what they can afford. They're probably smart not to be betting more because they can't afford more. I don't understand them. And the Cromwell really pisses me off because that's not such a high roller place.
No, it's got the 100 times odds, but yeah, it's not Caesar's Palace. No,
it's not. No, and it's not known for all the big gamblers going there to the Cromwell. But what bothers me is sometimes they act like you're not even present. I mean, they're talking amongst themselves. We've had that so many times.
Yep.
And then they forget to move a bet or they forget to pay you or something.
Well, I just paid your 6. Now they rolled another 6. You're not paying attention. Yeah, it's
right. And they look at you like you're the idiot, and it's like, no, you're not even paying attention. I mean, at least have the courtesy to pay attention.
And then we've had some fantastic dealers at Cromwell. So
yeah, we've had others that have been good, but
yeah, it's definitely a mixed bag.
We've had bad experiences. The link is I found always pretty good.
But don't throw the money back to the I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah, you do. He just doesn't know what the limits are. Just politely say, "Oh, sorry, we have a $5 minimum on those bets."
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know. They're surly is what they are. They're surly.
If I ran the casino, I'm going to look. Maybe Dr. Seuss wrote a book. If I ran the casino, I'm going to go back and look. He might have one out.
All right.
I can imagine. It'd be crazy. Just think of what a slot machine would look like in a Dr. Seuss book. Oh my gosh. Like a bunch of handles everywhere. And yeah. All right. I'm going to look into that. All right. Well, that's going to do it for this episode. We want to thank some people for some recurring PayPal donations. Brian Dancer, Brian and Sarah, Josh, James, Kurt, Justin, Robin from Anytime Gambling, and Nathan. Thank you so much for those recurring donations. We also got a donation from Todd Goddess. He said, thanks for keeping the show going strong in 2020, and here's to a more gambling-friendly 2021. Oh, I hope so. Hope we don't.
Yeah, I do too.
Gosh, last year, and we both lost for the year last year, even though there was less gambling. I was kind of going through my things. So, yeah, it would be nice to maybe not lose as much, but even be able to play more. And all right, fingers crossed. Also, a donation from Benedict. Thank you very much. And a donation from John. Karma donation for a quick Vegas trip on January 26th. Hope you and yours are all safe and well. Keep up your excellent work. Well, thank you, John. Hope you and yours are safe as well. Hey, be sure to check out our TV listing showing all the gambling-related shows coming up within the next 2 weeks at youcanbetonthat.com/TV-listings and our list of gambling-related movies at youcanbetonthat.com/movies. We'd love to hear from you. Call our voicemail hotline at 951-292-4377. That's 9512-WAGERS.
9512-WAGERS.
Or you can email us at youcanbetonthat@gmail.com. You can also follow us on Twitter at youcanbetonthat and on Facebook at facebook.com/youcanbetonthat. Finally, please go to your favorite podcast app and write a review of the show. We love getting your feedback. Brand new year, Mike. What do you got for us?
Well, Mark, I'll tell you what. This is on a gambling-related, I guess, kind of way. We've got NFL playoffs coming up.
Right.
Basketball's in full swing. Hockey's getting going.
It started today as we're recording, yeah.
And also NCAA basketball tournament will be coming up before too long here. And the most exciting thing on my mind with all that going on is how good the Padres are going to be this year.
They're making the right moves, aren't they? Spending money.
Yes.
It's exciting. It really is.
They're really obviously trying to win.
Yeah. Well, I hope it's a full season, whatever that means, right?
Right.
I hope that at some point fans can return to the stands, and oh man, that would be something.
I'm going to go out on a limb here, but I'm going to say Cleveland's going to give Kansas City a hard time.
Oh, nice. Weekend. Okay.
Yeah. So I don't know what the line is yet, but I think I'm going to go with Cleveland because I really think they're going to give Kansas City a hard time. And I wouldn't be surprised if the Rams beat Green Bay either.
Okay. All right. Very good.
I think they're playing pretty well right now.
Couple upsets.
So those are my couple upset picks for the weekend. Now, I don't know that Kansas City will lose that game, but I think it's going to be close.
Okay, so it's right now Kansas City are 10-point favorites. So you think the Browns are going to keep it within 10 points?
Yep, I bet on that.
Okay.
I bet on the
take the
Cleveland
points. All right.
It. Yep.
Okay.
That's my tip of the week. We'll see how that goes.
All right, well, enjoy the football. Thanks for listening, everybody.
Thank you.
Oh, sweet mother, I love you, Dr. Mike.